Completing a Stuart triple expansion engine, this one is part 28. Finishing the mahogany cylinder cladding, followed by a change of plan. The mahogany cylinder cladding, even the bit on the high pressure cylinder, in my opinion does not look good enough. It's not the mahogany that's the problem, it's actually the casting. It's quite irregularly shaped on the inside edge. The good news is that I don't have to be as accurate with the mahogany planking as I did on the high pressure cylinder, because it's all going to be covered up. Traditionally, the Stuart triple expansion engine, along with most other Stuart models, used to have a piece of anodised steel supplied with the casting sets. Alas though, that is no longer the case. Now it's anodised aluminium. Aluminium, as we all know, is a very soft metal and easily damaged, and the thin anodised aluminium really is very soft. You can even dint it with your fingers when it's on a cylinder. Cladding a triple expansion cylinder, which has quite a large void underneath the cladding, using the soft aluminium anodised cladding is not a good idea unless it's supported. I haven't just made this up for the video. Cladding the cylinder in the anodised stuff was always going to be plan B, but in this case I'm putting plan B into operation. After I'd finished the mahogany planking operation, it was time to use a flapper wheel to smooth it out. I would recommend, if you do this job, remove the steam chest first. I didn't bother because I'm quite accurate with this tool. The mahogany cladding needs to follow the contours of the outer part of the casting perfectly. So if you're doing this job, take your time and get it right. The phrase near enough for jazz or near enough for rock and roll does not apply. All of the mahogany cladding on the cylinders needs to be perfectly smooth, and now it needs to perfectly match the edge of the casting. The only problem with this flapper wheel is I cannot get right into the edges where the mounting lugs are, nor do I want to because it would thin them out. Once I made the decision to use sheet metal as cylinder cladding, then I could do away with the original plan, which was to make a removable hatch, to allow access to the 4 Allen bolts that hold the cylinder assemblies together. During the flapper wheel operation in this part of the clip, you can see what I did. 2 pieces of mahogany in the opposite direction, leaving a space so I can get my Allen key in and fit the bolts that hold the cylinders together. In the places where the mahogany cladding met the mounting lugs, I used a Stanley knife to remove the excess wood. Irrespective of which type of steam engine that you're working on, if you decide to clad the cylinders using the anodised aluminium, I really do recommend that you put some wood in there first. Using the modern equivalent to asbestos is no good because it's not hard enough. As with a lot of the jobs that I do, this took quite a long time, but I think I got it right. Before I can cut the cladding, I need to assemble the cylinders. The 2 cylinder units are going to be held together by these 4 4BA Allen head bolts. And first of all, I need to make a gasket. I'm using the normal method of an ink pad to transfer the shape of the casting onto a piece of thin gasket material. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy and it's effective. All I have to do now is punch out the 4 holes in the gasket material and then cut it out. If you're just setting up your model engineering workshop, you definitely need to buy one of these. It's a hole punch. Apart from using it in the model engineer's workshop, you can use it to make your belt a better fit. I cut out the gasket using a pair of scissors on the outside and a Stanley knife on the inside. Now it's all ready to bolt together. This clip clearly shows how I've left a recess for the Allen bolts. Once I'd bolted the 2 cylinder units together, I did notice that the gap between them didn't feel perfectly flat. A bit more work for my 80 grit flapper wheel. I have lots of these, and a viewer asked me where I got them from, and if I remember rightly, I think I bought them via eBay. They're very useful because if you don't put much pressure on them, they hardly do any cutting. Unlike the normal drum sanders that are very aggressive, these are great for fine tolerance jobs. You will notice that I frequently use my index finger as a level indicator. The sense of touch is a great piece of biological engineering. After levelling up where the 2 cylinder parts join together, I went over all of the mahogany strip just one more time to make sure it was level. And this is what it looks like when it's partially assembled. I was sat looking at this, thinking about it, and there was a knock on the door. And it was Fran, my first ex-wife, who lives across the road on the farm with my daughter and her family. When I filmed this video, it was the 18th of June 2021. Fran was having a bit of a clean-up and she found something that she thought I needed. I couldn't believe my luck. It was a Christmas card from last Christmas from my daughter's mother-in-law. And the good thing is, my daughter's mother-in-law, whose name is Joan, always sends very good quality Christmas cards, made out of very good quality card, which is ideal for making templates for things like cylinder cladding. I mean, how did this happen? This was from last Christmas, and Fran just decided that maybe I wanted a Christmas card. Nice timing indeed. This is the inside of a package that arrived the other week. It came from Stuart Models and contains 3 pieces of anodized aluminium. You may be thinking, why did I buy 3? Did I buy some extra to do other engines? No, I bought the extra one just in case I make a mess of one of them by cutting it wrong. Really, I should have bought 4, then I could make a mess of 2 of them. Here you see the principle. With the anodized aluminium roughly in place, you can see what has to be done. And that's where John's Christmas card is going to come in very useful. The easiest thing to do is just draw around the piece of aluminium. And then using my ancient pair of scissors that I've used for possibly 30 years, mainly for cutting wet or dry sandpaper to the right size. Here I'm using the pair of scissors to cut the Christmas card, which is doing fine. Quite a few viewers told me off for using scissors for cutting sandpaper, but I've used these for cutting wire, metal, sandpaper, and loads of other stuff. They are a good quality pair of scissors though, genuine Sheffield steel. I need to make a really accurate template, and it's more difficult than it seems because don't forget, the aluminium will have to be bent slightly to go around the shape of the cylinders. So as I was marking the positions on the piece of card for various fittings like the drain cocks, I made allowances for the forthcoming bends in the aluminium. On the template, one of the cutouts isn't perfect. I will trim this before transferring it to the piece of metal. I spoke to Mr. Ronnie Mall, who built a triple expansion engine that I bought from him a while back. And Ronnie came up with a really good solution for cylinder cladding that is stronger than the aluminium stuff. Buy a very cheap baking tray from the supermarket and cut it up. You end up with steel that's got a good coating on it. In this clip I'm holding the piece of Christmas card in the correct position and using my scriber to find the large hole where the exhaust comes out. I enlarged the hole by rotating the scriber, then I punched out the hole properly, as indeed I did with all of the others. I have noticed that the standard 4BA nuts that hold the cylinder assembly onto the top of the columns are a bit on the large side, so I think I will make some smaller 4BA nuts. The good news is my template fits quite well. I'm making some more puncture marks in it though, to accommodate the bolts that hold the flanges in place. The main difference between the piece of Christmas card and the aluminium sheet is that will stay where I bend it, whereas the Christmas card always tries to go straight again. Just in case I get confused, I've marked LP at one end and HP at the other end to show me which way around the card goes. Depending on how tired my brain is, sometimes I can get confused by the simplest of things. So now I know that the smiley face means this bit fits at this side. I need to mark out several holes in the piece of card yet, and at this side not only do I need the 2 at each end to hold the piece of metal in position, I need to have holes where I've marked. When I finally get to the part where I fit the metal cladding with every hole pre-drilled, I'll be able to hold the cladding against the cylinder block and mark through the holes. Then I need to drill the cylinder block and tap it 6BA for the bolts that hold the cladding in place. And once again, this is not the easiest of jobs nor the quickest. I'm beginning to think that building a Stuart triple expansion engine is definitely not for a beginner. That's it for this episode. Progress is being made slowly but surely. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists, and by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.